I'm joined now by Bill Kramer, the CEO of the Academy, which of course puts on the Oscars every year. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us, what do you think the role is for the Academy and the Oscars to promote the movie industry?
Thanks, Julia, and thanks for having me today. That's what we do best. The Academy and the Oscars promote cinema, promote movie making, inspire people to go to the movies. We celebrate our movie artists, and no one does that better than the Academy. And our Oscars is one part of that. And I should say we do that on a global scale. We really inspire people globally to engage with the movies, and that's needed now more than ever.
So you say it's needed now more than ever. The domestic box office is still meaningfully down from pre-pandemic levels. And even though the box office is projected to continue to grow this year with more wide theatrical releases, it's still not back at where it was in 2019. How concerned are you about the fact that the box office is still not back where it was before the pandemic? And what role do you think the Oscars could play in helping close that gap?
Yeah, well, we want people seeing movies in theaters. That's where our artists, our Academy members want their films seen. That's how you can fully engage with all artistic components of movie making with proper sound and proper projection. I do think we have to think about our world a little differently now in terms of moviegoing. People engage with movies in many different ways, and that will evolve over time. And of course, I'm talking about streaming. Many people are watching movies at home now, and we will, I think, continue to live in a world where theatrical and streaming coexist. But what's important is that movies continue to be made and watched. And that's what the Oscars are all about.
Yeah, it's so interesting seeing the contraction of the window between theatrical releases and streaming releases. It used to be 3 months before the pandemic. Now it is on average 30 days. Do you think that's going to be a long-term threat to your business? And how do you address that at the Oscars, where there is this pressure from filmmakers who want their films to be seen in theaters?
Well, I think both will continue to evolve and exist together. That is where we are today, and I don't think that's going to change dramatically. I do think people love going to the movies. We have 2 cinemas at our Academy Museum. We sell out screenings constantly. People love being in theaters. In terms of windows, I think that's really going to be a function of what distributors, studios, and filmmakers decide on. And I think that's really being addressed on a case-by-case basis. Now, all of that being said, we did increase our theatrical eligibility requirements for Best Picture about 18 months ago. That was done to encourage more markets to have a theatrical window, and that's been very successful.
And so ultimately, you want to support the industry that the Academy represents. But big picture, it seems like this year is a really essential one for the box office and for studios, in that we're going to have more wide releases than the past several years. And there are going to be so many big franchise films. And of course, the Oscars come at a key moment to really remind people that they want to get back into theaters. The stakes are very high for Hollywood right now, recovering not just from the fires, but before that, the strikes and the pandemic. Do you feel like this year is an essential year to get audiences back to theaters?
So this year, I think, will be a very important year for our industry, for our show. When big films come out, when people go to the movies to watch film, even if it's an independent film, that helps the Oscars. It gets people talking. Again, you see the film in the setting in which it was designed to be seen and heard in a theatrical setting. That's great for our art form. That's great for our show. And I think this year will be extremely helpful in driving people back into the cinema.
So many of the films that you're featuring at the Oscars are independent films. Yes, you have Wicked nominated for a huge range, but you also have films like Emilia Perez, which is is a different type of film, a foreign language film that was nominated. Maybe fewer people have seen that film in theaters, or The Brutalist. How concerned are you that audiences may not connect as much with the films that are in the spotlight because not as many people saw them in theaters?
I think the range of films that we're honoring this year is extremely important and very exciting to us. We have big box office films like Wicked. We have a lot of independent films. We have international films. Remember, the Oscars are global, unlike most award shows in the US. We actually have a global footprint. Our audience outside of the US is as large as our US audience. I think the movie going public, the movie making world is becoming global in nature. And our nominees reflect that this year. And I think that's a healthy thing.
So, do you think that the award show will work to promote some of the big superhero franchise films, films like Avatar that are coming out later this year, even if they're not represented in the nominees or those franchises aren't represented on the nominees on stage?
We want all upcoming releases to be to benefit from our show, to participate in our show. And I think you'll see a lot of that this year.
And then a question about the role of streaming. This is a year when the Oscars are going to be available on streaming. How do you think about that and what that means for your audience?
We are seeing our movie going public engaging with movie watching in different ways than even 3 years ago. Theatrical and streaming will continue to coexist. I think one of the great benefits of streaming is access to many different types of movies, independent films, diverse voices, new filmmakers, emerging filmmakers, independent cinema, international cinema. So it really opens up the landscape for moviegoers in a very exciting way. And I think that will benefit us.
I was actually talking about streaming on Hulu. People
Got
watching
it.
the Oscars will be able to stream it on Hulu rather than just on broadcast TV here in the US. What does that mean from a show perspective?
That's a great point. That's great for us. Similar to what we were saying about movie going, people are watching TV in different ways, even in very different ways than even 3 years ago. So we're thrilled to be on Hulu this year, in addition to ABC. I think it will be additive to our ratings. I think we will reach an 18 to 49 demographic in a different way, and that's really exciting for us.
And just a few final questions. I have to ask about AI because everyone's talking about AI, and AI was obviously a key point in the negotiations and the actors and writers strikes. How do you see AI changing the business and the conversation around award shows like yours?
Yeah, it's a big topic for us. It's an extremely interesting topic. The Academy, we're a membership organization, so our members work across disciplines in movie making. So when we speak with our visual effects branch members, they feel differently about AI than, say, our acting branch or our writing branch or our music branch. We see AI as a tool. There are many ways in which a filmmaker can make a movie. Many tools are utilized. So we'll continue to assess how AI enters into the awards rules landscape for the Academy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And just a final question about the show. The show has sponsors, it's a big business. How have you worked to evolve what the show looks and feels like, both for the brands you work with and also for consumers, for viewers watching at home?
Yeah, we're so lucky. We have amazing brand partnerships, and that continues. The last couple of years, I think we've really created shows that celebrate cinema, that have made our partners proud to be a part of the Oscars. You're going to see a lot of that this year. And that extends to a lot of the work that we do at the Academy beyond the Oscars. Rolex, for example, is a huge supporter of the Oscars, but also our Student Academy Awards and our Academy Museum. So our work with the Oscars and our brands extends beyond the show. And I think that's great for any healthy organization. to have a diversified group of partners like we do.
Any final thoughts on what will make this show different? You have Conan O'Brien hosting. You're not going to be performing the nominees for Best Song, but it seems like you'll probably have some other musical performances. What's a little preview about what you're most excited about this year?
Well, we'll start with Conan. We are so lucky to be working with Conan. Jimmy has done an amazing job the last couple of years. Conan will bring his own special brand of magic and humor and wit and warmth to this show. It's been just remarkable working with him, and he'll bring a lot of great surprises. So please tune in. We're really excited about what's in store. With our original song category, we have a beautiful big moment where we celebrate the songwriters. So often when we have performances of original song nominees, you don't learn about the songwriters who are the ultimate nominees in that category. So that will be a beautiful moment. And then, as you referenced, we have some great performances on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm excited. Never a dull moment at the Oscars. I'll be there in person, so
Great.
hope to see you there. And I know a lot of people will be watching at home. Bill Kramer, CEO of the Academy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on Sunday.